What's going on, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I want to say thank you for checking me out. Today we're talking all about the plants. We're not doing too much personal development today, but I just want to give you a tour of my plants and let you know the care that goes into each plant, because a lot of people ask me about my plants. They're like, your plants look nice and I like your plants and all that. Especially on Instagram, people always compliment me on my plants. So I just want to give you an overview and a tour of my house plants that I do have currently and show you all the care that goes into each one. I was gonna bunch them together, but honestly, it's too much work to bring them all together and put them back. So we're not doing that. We're going plant by plant right now. So let's go ahead and get started on our tour. The first one we're starting with today is the snake plant, AKA the Sansevieria. This one has been like a chill plant. It can adapt to any environment, low light, high light, low humidity. It don't need any specific care because I don't water this plant much at all. One time I went like maybe 6 weeks without watering this plant and no issues at all. So if you're just starting out with house plants, I recommend you starting with one of these because they're so easy to care for. Whether you have it in low light, high light, it's gonna adapt to its environment. So I recommend you trying this one out. One thing I do want to mention is do not overwater it, because I overwatered once before, and next thing you know, it started to get real flimsy, and then it started to just like get soggy. It just started to die out. So be careful with overwatering these. It's always better to underwater. Go ahead and give this one a shot. If you're just getting into house plants, go ahead and try this one out as your first plant. The next plant I have is actually my newest plant. It is a pothos or pothos, whatever you want to call it. This one is I think it's a silver something. Honestly, I don't know the actual name of it, but this one has been pretty cool. I'm looking forward to having this one trail a lot. I intentionally got this one small because I wanted to pay attention to its growth. It's right now in a small pot. Most of my plants I have in a decorative pot, but they're still in a nursery pots as well. And this one is just doing pretty cool so far. It's been growing a little bit. I know we have some new growth on the inside of it. If you can see that right. I don't know if you can see it somewhere. It's in there somewhere, but we got new growth in there. And this one has been pretty smooth. They say put it in high humidity, but it's been in relatively like medium humidity, and it's getting indirect sunlight. As you can see, it just hangs out here and it just does its own thing. Sometimes I do bunch it with my other tropical plants. I do put it with the humidifier, but I don't necessarily do it all the time, and it's been doing well as of now. So if you think about getting one of these, actually I probably need to water it now, but I say do it like medium water. You don't never want to put too much water and have it soggy. So be careful when you water in this plant as well, because it will damage the leaves. All right, so now we are here with actually one of my favorite plants. This one is a Alocasia Taro. I can't think about the technical name. I'm gonna put it on the screen. I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna type it on the screen because I can never pronounce the actual name of this one. But this one is my rescue plant. This one I got from Whole Foods. I actually talked them down. I love a bargain, so I always love talking them down. So I actually talked them down to getting this one for $10. So I got this for $10. I rescued it because it was dying. And actually I had came across a new one, a smaller version of it at Sprouts. So I went ahead and bundled them together. So now you see two plants in one. And this one is really cool. It grows so fast. But the thing with this one, you have to have high humidity and it loves sunlight. And it's gonna grow in the direction of the sunlight, so you have to be careful with it. But right now I have it tied up because some of them seem like they were getting a little too heavy. So right now it seems like they all bunched together, but they sprout out a lot and they will grow huge. You see some of the large leaves that are on here. So this one loves to get watered a lot. The more you water it, the more it'll grow. I haven't had any issues with overwatering it. But one thing that I did notice is the more you water it, the bigger the leaves get. And I do put different types of fertilizers in my thing. Here's a few of them. So these are the two fertilizers that I use for the most part. This fertilizer here I primarily use for when I first get plants so that they could get acclimated, so that they could get kind of like balanced a little bit. And then this one here I use during my growth seasons, which is spring and summertime. So I make sure that I go ahead and put this in so that I can have luscious, full growth on all my plants. So go ahead and get you one of these, because these plants are like really cool. They're real easy to care for, and they're very rewarding as well. So this plant right here is sitting alone, just like all by itself. It's lonely right now. It's another Sansevieria. It's a snake plant. Same care as the first one. This is just a smaller version of it. This is one of my first plants that I did have. When I first started with plants, I didn't know too much about them, so I always take them out of a nursery pot and put them into decorative pots. Compared to now, I keep them in the nursery pots and then I put them into decorative pots. But this one, it's been doing really good. It's been doing well. Same care as the first one. Don't water it too much. When you do water it, Just make sure that you're careful that you're not overwatering it so that it doesn't get soggy. But it's been giving me a lot of growth actually recently within the dormant season, which is fall and the winter time. It's been giving me a lot of new growth. This whole thing right here is new. This whole section here has been new. We have new growth on the inside as well. But with this one is pretty chill. And with this space here, I actually want to put flower wall. I want to put a bunch of different plants here, but I also want to move too. So I'm kind of holding off on it, but I'm kind of tempted to do it because it's such a blank space. I don't know if I want to put artwork or plant wall, but I'm leaning towards the plant wall and then putting artwork on my other wall. I'll figure that out later. That's something we'll talk about another time. So let's go over to our next plant. The next plant we have is our Monstera Deliciosa. This was one I actually killed like I think two of these before because I always overwatered these things. One thing I did notice is that they love humidity and you can let them dry out. One thing I always thought you can't let them dry out, but I've had success by letting it dry out and not watering it too much. And you want to make sure that you have chunky soil with this because they love to have drainage. They love water, but they can't sit in water. So if you have a soil that's sitting there that's absorbing a lot of water and then it's not draining, then that's when you're gonna have issues with your water. And I think that's with any plants, honestly. You wanna make sure that you have great drainage because if you don't, because you're gonna water it a lot. And then if that water is not going out, if it's just sitting there, then that's when you're gonna have issues. That's when you're gonna see the yellow leaves, you're gonna see it dying and all that good stuff. But mine I have currently on a moss pole, which you can probably see right here. And it's all growing. So what happens is it climbs up. So the aerial roots that you see, they grow up and then it's gonna grow up this vine and well, not this vine, but this moss pole. And the next thing you know is it's gonna grow upward. And then you're gonna see the large leaves and everything. So I'm looking forward to having a lot of new growth on this one within this new spring, summertime season. And I'm looking forward to seeing it grow large leaves. Right now the leaves are pretty decent. I think one of my newest growths that I've had was this one here that I did notice. I'll see if I can get it for you. This one here was one of my newest sprout outs. I remember seeing this furl out. But I'm excited to see this one grow as well because I kept this one the longest out of all my monsteras that I ever had. So we're doing a good job with this one. The next plant we have is our Philodendron Pink Princess. This one here, it speaks for itself. It's the Pink Princess. So you got pink fenestrations on it right in here. And this one has been pretty good. I actually killed one before because it got root rot. I watered it a little bit too much. This one, I feel like it's in a little bit too much soil because I'm gonna feel like I need to water it a lot. And that's why I had issues before. But I say let this dry out a little bit. You won't have any issues if it dries out. It loves humidity. Any philodendron, alocasias, monsteras, most plants are gonna love humidity, especially if you get them from a tropical environment. So think about where these plants come from when you think about how much humidity it needs or don't need. But this one is one that loves a little bit of humidity and it's been doing well. I have one leaf that's dying right here. It just started dying within the last couple of days and I think that comes from me overwatering it. So I'm gonna just let it die out and do its thing and just let it kind of fall off on its own. But I wanna say be careful with this plant. Make sure that you give it humidity and don't overwater it because if you do, it's not forgiven to root rot. It will not recover from it. It's just gonna like continue to die out in my experience. So go ahead and get you one of these plants. If you want something that's gonna be a little different, a little exotic, then you're gonna go ahead and get one of these Philodendron Pink Princesses. Before this was rare on the market, but now it's been a little common. You have more growers that are growing these. So you'll find a lot of these at a fair price. I got this at a good price. Actually, I have a good relationship with the nursery that I go to, which I will link down below. It's called the Plant Stand of Arizona. I'm not from here, but that's where I go to get all my plants. And they're pretty cool people. I know the owner. They're always nice to me. They always give me plants and they know that I post them on my Instagram and they know I bring them customers. So go ahead and check out the link down below if you're interested in getting some of theirs because they have high quality plants at a great price. So go ahead and tell them that I sent you and then they'll show you some love. Another one of my favorites, actually I think I told you I love alocasias. So this is my Alocasia Regal Shield. I had the larger leaves. If you've seen my other videos or you see my Instagram, you've seen that they had the larger leaves. I had to cut those off because they got a little bit too heavy for it and they just started to lean over. I actually came home one day and one of them just like leaning on the floor. So I went ahead and cut them both off. So we have a lot of like dead leaves that's just drying out right now. But this one grows so fast. All you have to do is just water this one, give it humidity, and it's gonna do its thing. It's gonna grow so fast. So I'm anticipating maybe at least another 3 or 4 big leaves within the next like 3 months because it's gonna grow that much. As you see, I think this one is one of my newest leaves right here. And you see my hand can palm a basketball and this thing is already like way larger than my hand. So it's gonna get bigger and bigger. So I'm gonna go ahead and fertilize it and make sure that it gets that big growth on it. But this one is an easy care plant. All you gotta do is water it, give it indirect light, and it's gonna love you. It's gonna take care of itself. You don't have to do too much to it. You don't have to give it too much care. Just let it sit. Just be careful to make sure that you rotate this plant because it's gonna grow in the direction of the sun. As you see, most of my growth is going this way. That's because it's been facing the sun that way. So I've been rotating it recently. So when my new growth comes, it's gonna start to grow, let's see, this way. We want it to grow this way. So that's what we're gonna do with this plant right here. But again, Alocasia Regal Shield, high humidity, indirect light. It likes bright light as well. It'll do good in that. If you give it bright light, then it's gonna grow bigger and faster. So go ahead and get you one of these alocasias as well. If you have any questions about it, feel free to leave it in the comments or just send me a DM. All right, we got this here, the Monstera Adansonii, which is, this one I actually had stressed out because I had changed it into a different pot. And what happened with this one is that it got stressed out, so I started to lose a lot of leaves. I noticed that you can't overwater this one because what happens is you start to get these yellow leaves on it. And that lets you know that you're overwatering it. But then again, you also get this, which kind of indicates that you underwatering it. So it's kind of been a learning process with this one. They say high humidity, but it's been relatively like medium humidity for this one. I haven't had too much issues. As you see on this side, it's not too much growth. That's what I've been trying to grow back. That's what I lost a lot during stress. I just cut it all off. So I'm looking forward to having new growth on this. I may cut some more back too. Like you see this here, don't have anything coming from it. I may not. I'm gonna just let it do its thing as of now. And I kept this one in the hanging basket. At first I had took it out and that's where I got stressed out at, but I decided to put it right here over my kitchen, over my sink area. And I'm gonna just let it do its thing and see what comes from it. I'm expecting to have luscious growth from it because I have seen some on a totem pole, which I was kind of leaning towards. I wanted to get one like that too. I didn't want to put too many plants in the space to where it seemed overwhelming. So I'm gonna wait and see what this one does. And I'm excited to see how much it grows during spring and winter, not spring and winter, spring and summertime. Because I got it during, I'll say fall, winter time. So we're going to see how this one does. And we're going to go from there. We're going to wish for the best. Now we're over here with the Monstera aquatica, aka the money tree, the money plant, whatever you want to call it. This one I actually had maybe 3 smaller ones and I had one more big one that I killed. I killed like every single one of them. This has been my most challenging plant and some people say it's the most easy plant. For me, it's been the opposite. I've had issues with this plant so much. I had always overwatered it, had root rot. It's just been so many issues. Right now we're doing decent. I already killed 2 of the stems out of the 5. I think it's 5, yeah. Already killed 2 out of the 5 branches on here. So we hoping for the best with this one. Is doing good with the 3 that are left. So we just gonna let it do its thing and let it grow. This one I do relatively, I like to let it dry out, honestly. They say don't let it dry out, but I like to let it dry out because I've had issues with overwatering it before. So I just wanna be cautious with mine personally. But you wanna keep it like a little moist. Just make sure that you're not letting it get too wet. Again, just like we spoke about any plant, you don't wanna let it get too wet to where it's sitting in water. So make sure that you go ahead and get this humidity. You can put it again in the shower with you. Go ahead and sit it in the bathroom, let it get some humidity. Mine personally, I don't give it too much humidity and it's doing pretty good as it is at the moment. This is right here in my desk area. This is an east facing window that is getting. So sometimes I move it over there, but I rarely do that anyway because it's thriving as it is. The next one we have is our lemon lime Maranta. This one, again, I overwatered, so I lost a lot of vegetation on this one. This one was, I had to cut back a little bit, but it's been sprouting, it's been growing. One thing that I do love about this plant is that you know when it's thriving because it just starts to sprout up. At the moment, it's doing okay, but then next thing you know, I may look at it in the morning and everything's just sprouting up like this. It just goes through this whole cycle. It's a very stubborn plant. It just does its own thing. It has its own mind, so I just let it do its thing. I don't try to force anything with it. I just allow it to be as is. Sometimes I let it dry out because if you overwater it, you can know because you'll start to see yellow on the leaves instantly and it just starts to fall off. So I just let it do its thing. I'm gonna let it just continue to grow. We have new growth coming here. I'm gonna pay attention to how fast this apart. I don't know if you can see that, how fast this grows right here. But overall, you can let this get humidity. You can let it not get humidity. Either way is fine. But again, don't overwater it. Make sure you have that chunky draining soil so that you can go ahead and make sure that you don't get that, that soggy soil in there, because that's when it's going to kill it. Last and definitely not least, we have our golden pothos, whatever you want to call it. I always call it pothos. I call it whatever I feel like at the time. But this one has been pretty chill, as you see. This one, it probably needs to be watered because I notice it when the leaves shrivel up a little bit like this. I don't know if you can tell. When the leaves shrivel up, that means that it's time to be watered. So I go ahead and water it. I haven't watered it in a while. But as you see, it sits right above my desk. It sits right here as you see it trailing down. This one has been pretty cool because at first I had it hanging over there where the other Monstera is, the hanging Monstera Adansonii. And now this one sits over here. I have some that's thrown over, so it's a little longer than what you see. I have a couple more, so it's grown a lot since I've gotten it. I like to let this one dry out. So I let it talk to me. I let it talk to me and tell me what it needs. So as of now, I see that it needs some water. So I'll go ahead and water that. And I'll give it fertilizer, probably next time I water it, not just yet. But during growth season, I'm looking forward to this one growing a lot. And as you see on the back side, it's not as full because it's not facing the sun or anything. So it's not growing towards that. But I look forward to changing that during springtime. I look forward to seeing this grow a lot. And it's been a pretty cool plant. It's been growing a lot, as you see. We got these trailing, whatever they call it. Honestly, I don't know, but I can't think of the name right now. But we got a healthy plant right here. Oh, another one growing out. I got a lot of them tucked in somewhere. But as you see, this one, you want to make sure that you get decent humidity. It says high humidity, but it's been doing fine with just medium humidity. And go ahead and get you one of these if you want an easy carrying plant. It can hang, it can sit, whatever you choose to do. It's a very forgiving plant. Let it do its thing, and you won't have any issues. That wraps it up for the tour of the plants. I'm excited to add more to my collection. I'm excited to share it with you. And if you have any questions about it, or if you have any advice on any of the care for these plants, go ahead and leave comments down below. And I look forward to sharing it with you and also seeing your collection. If you have some, go ahead and send it to me on Instagram. The link is down below, or just somewhere on YouTube. You can find it somewhere. You know how to scroll through and figure it out. But send me a message on Instagram. Send me a question that you may have about plants. I'll share any knowledge that I've had that I learned over the years. But other than that, I appreciate you for checking out my collection. We gonna go on to the next thing. I'm gonna show you what I'm recording with now. So I want to take a quick moment to show you what I use to record my content, whether it be the videos, the podcast, the softwares I use, because I have so many people ask me through Instagram what equipment I use, what programs do I use when I share like my creation process. The first piece of equipment that you're looking at is my camera and my mic, which I'll review the mic a little bit later because I have a couple of them. But I like this camera, the Canon Eos M50, because I have the screen right here that I can rotate and I can see how I look when I'm creating my content, because I'm a solo shooter. I'm always shooting by myself. So I can flip the screen, see how I look. So this is my mic, and then this is my, not my mic, my camera. And then this is also one of my tripods that I use. This is the one that I keep in the house, but I do have one in my car too for when I go out vlogging, when I remember to take my camera with me, when I go out and just do my little daily routines, or just going out shopping, or whatever the case may be, or even just driving in the car, because I have a mount on my windshield too, which I'm not gonna show you that stuff. I'll probably put a link to it down below in my Amazon cart so you can check it out. And if you wanna order one, then feel free to do so. So I usually have this light and this light on the outside, like on the side, and I usually have my ring light right in the middle if I need to have that much light. And then it's also my tripod that I use for my camera. So I usually sit it on the camera. Right now I have it on a handheld tripod recording you, but it usually goes right here. And if I'm recording some Instagram content, then I usually stick my phone right on here. These lights, I'm gonna put a link to it down in the description, so it'll be on my Amazon cart, so you could go ahead and click it if you want to check out any of this equipment. And that's anything that I mentioned throughout this video, honestly. I'm gonna go ahead and put a link to it down below. Some of it I didn't get on Amazon, but a lot of it you can find similar products to it. So my favorite ones are these lights right here, because it's so bright, it gives you so much options and you can play around with it so much. All right, so now let's jump over to my computer, which is the brains of everything, which is where everything comes together. I currently use a MacBook Pro, which is the 13-inch, I want to say it's the 2020 model or 2021, I forgot. Next, we'll move over to my podcasting equipment. I currently have the Shure 7M, I think it's the Shure, which mic is this? SM7B. mic. It was like $400 or $500. I upgraded my mic after many years of using my phone first. Then I started out with, what else I went to after that? Oh, I actually came to this, which I still have as my interface, but I had a bundle package and I had a mic, and then I still use the same headphones, but I upgraded my mic. And with that, I had to upgrade to this cloud lifter, because if you don't, then your audio won't be that good. We have that. Then I also have my headphones and the adapter that goes to the computer. And I also have the XLR cables, of course, that go straight into the cloud lifter. The XLR cable goes from the mic into the cloud lifter, and then it goes from the other side of the cloud lifter into the interface, and that's how I get that clear audio. If I don't have this cloud lifter, it'll sound like just so bad. I can't even explain how it'll sound. Next, I have a collection of mics that I use outside of the podcasting mic. This is what I use for all video. This mic is my first mic I ever started with, right here. This mic I used to plug it into my phone. I had the little adapter that goes to your iPhone, and then you plug it in and I just use it. So it did its job until I upgraded all my equipment and went to an actual camera. And then that's when I upgraded to the different mics. Now we'll go with the mics that I use currently. Currently I use a shotgun mic. Mostly I use this if I'm traveling, if I'm moving around, like maybe through an airport, or I'm just out in public. Sometimes it depends where I'm at in public, then I'll go ahead and use this mic right here. This is a Rode, I forgot the name of it. Like I said, all the links would be down below, because I bought this so long ago and I don't use it as often as I thought I would, because I found the one that you see right here, which is my lavalier mic. It also comes from Rode. This mic is really good because I like the quality of it. I like the way that it's compact and you can just take it and go. You could adapt it here, you tap it to your camera, and then you're just good to go. The next mic we have is actually another Rode mic. It's the one that I used to use for my iPhone when I used to record a lot on my phone, until I, like I said, upgraded my equipment when I first do vlogs. So this one I bought from Sammy's Camera back in LA. When I was back home, I went ahead and purchased this, and here's the little filter for it, which I didn't really see a difference. I guess it's a wind filter. It works pretty good, but you know, I have everything that I purchased for the most part. I still have everything with me. That's it for my mics. I have two external hard drives. I have one for computer backups, and then I have one where I keep all my video content. And that's how I just save everything and keep everything compact so that my space don't run out too much. I have my traveling case for my mic, and just for all my equipment in general, my camera and all those things for when I'm traveling out and about, or mostly when I'm traveling on the airplane. I go ahead and just pack everything into this handy dandy thing right here. I think I bought this from a retail store, but I will put a link to a similar one down below so that you could get it too. And I think that's about it. Here is Final Cut Pro. This is what I use for my editing. As you can see right here, this is an old project that I was editing, a podcast that I created for social media. This is one here. As you see, I have the different layers. There's not too many layers on this one because I don't use too much, but I have different options right here, different packs that I bought from different websites. Well, actually just one website. I caught them when they were on sale. So you got different things you can do here. Then I also have different ones where we can go here, and you have different effects and things that you could put onto the content. I currently use Audacity to record my podcast, which I want to switch over to GarageBand. I want to see if it was more advanced editing settings on there, but I currently use Audacity because that's what I've been using for years now, and I'm comfortable with it, but I do want to change it up a bit. I may change it up soon. I've been saying that forever, but for now I use Audacity, which is doing the job, and it's a pretty simple, straight to the point, easy to use, easy to learn program if you want to record audio without too much instruments or anything like that. I don't know, maybe you can attach instruments to it, but I don't use them, so I don't know. So that's just an overview of some of the things that I use to create content. I may have missed some things, I may not. I feel like I covered everything that I use for the most part, that I use on a day-to-day basis. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below if you need any guidance on how to start, or what do I suggest you start with first, because I always tell people don't spend a lot of money on your equipment right away. Just spend as minimal as possible and get the ball rolling. Go ahead and find your voice, find your messaging, find out who you are on camera before you go ahead and start investing into different things and different types of equipment, because a lot of times, honestly, it's not necessary. You can go ahead and use your phone and do majority of the things you need to do, and you can edit on there. You can export to a computer and do extra editing. It's so many things that you could do just with an iPhone or just any smartphone nowadays. So don't go out there and spend a lot of money on equipment because it's not needed for everything that you do. Now, before we get out of here, I want to ask you to do me and yourself a favor. Stop overthinking. Trust yourself, believe in your abilities, believe in everything you have, and just begin on whatever it is that you set out to do. I don't care if you've been thinking about it for years and you haven't gotten to it. Just start doing it right now, because there's no better time than now. Go ahead and apply yourself, commit to something, and go all in on it. Other than that, I want you to go ahead and enjoy your day. And remember, everybody has greatness within, even you.